Okay, hello everyone. So today we would like to learn about new topic. It's about mastering AI prompting. So let's start to learn mastering AI prompting. As you know that nowadays AI is really essential, especially for medical virtual assistant because a lot of things can be do with AI, and I think AI can make our work easier. So let's learn together about mastering AI prompting. Okay, so this is the course overview. This is the introduction to AI. AI prompting involves understanding how to communicate effectively with AI system, achieve desired outcome, and also responses. And then for the basic prompting, you can grasping the fundamental of prompt engineering is a crucial for crafting effective requests that yield accurate and relevant AI output. And then types of prompts. It's about understanding various types of prompts, allow user to tailor their requests, enhancing the versatility and the functionality of AI tools. Okay, let's next to the next page. Okay, this is the course of review, the best practice. For example, following best practices ensure clarity and precision in AI prompts, maximizing the effectiveness of interaction with artificial intelligence, and then common mistake, identifying common pitfall in prompt crafting can help user avoid errors, leading to better result and smoother interaction with AI. And then advanced technique, you can explore sophisticated strategies in a prompt engineering that enhance AI capabilities, allowing for more nuance and also effective interaction with user. Okay, let's continue. And then tools and platform. You can discover various tools and platforms available for AI prompting. It's offering unique features that streamline the prompt creation process. And then real-world example, you can review case studies showcasing successful application of AI prompting and the virtual assistant roles, illustrating potential benefit and best practices. And then for ethics and safety, you can understand the importance of ethical consideration and safety measure when utilizing AI, ensuring responsible and secure usage in various applications. Okay, next, it's about activity, hands-on. You can engage in a practical session where participants will craft their own prompts, applying learned techniques to the real-world scenario effectively. And then assignment, you can build your own prompt. Participants will independently design and submit a personalized prompt that demonstrates their understanding of prompt engineering principles. This assignment requires them to apply techniques learned in class, ensuring clarity, creativity, and alignment with the real-world use case. Okay, let's continue. And then, what is AI prompting? So the definition itself is the process of providing input. It can be text, query to an AI model to generate desired outputs such as responses, idea, or action. So the role in a virtual assistant, as a general virtual assistant or medical virtual assistant, we use like Siri or custom chatbot prompting guides AI to handle tasks like answering questions, scheduling, or creative writing. And then for the importance, of course, this is effective prompting improve accuracy, relevance, and user satisfaction. So the example, for example, the prompt is summarize the benefit of renewable energy. So the output, a concise paragraph on a solar and wind power. Okay, next. So this is the illustration of AI prompting, user input. You as a virtual assistant, you put the output that you want to achieve, and then this is AI models. You can use some tools and platform, and then the output, it can be text, audio, image, prediction, or even video. So it's really sophisticated. Okay, next. So the next one is why learn AI prompting. It is, of course, enhanced AI interaction. It makes virtual assistant more helpful and personalized. And then career relevance. Skills in prompt engineering are in demand for roles in AI development, content creation, and also customer service. And then, of course, for efficiency, you can reduce trial and error in AI responses. And then, for example, without good prompting, an AI may give a vague answer. With it, it provides tailored advice like suggest a 7 days meal plan for a vegan diet. And then for visual, you can create infographic with pros, for example, icons for efficiency or personalization. Okay, next. This is the key concept in AI prompting. The first one is token, unit of text that AI processes. And then context window, the amount of information AI can remember in conversation. And then right column, it can be temperature. You can control creativity. For example, low, factual, and high is for imaginative. And then fine tuning is customizing AI model for specific tasks. And then, for example, for the virtual assistant, set low temperature for factual query like what the weather today. Okay, next. So this is the basic of prompt engineering. Clarity, use simple, direct language, and then specificity, and then you can include details like format, length, or tone. And then for structure, start with context, then instruction, then example. So on the right side is just illustration for the context, and then instruction, and then the output that you want to build in AI. Okay, next. Element of a good prompt. So the role definitions. Specify the AI role. For example, it can be as a friendly tutor. And then for the task description, clearly state what to do. And then for the constraint, you can add limit. For example, keep it under 200 words. And then the example, as a virtual assistant, suggest 5 healthy breakfast idea for busy morning. It's under 100 calories. So that's the example. Okay, next. Understanding AI models. The common models that really common for us. For example, ChatGPT, DeepSeek. DeepSeek is a part of ChatGPT itself, and then Gemini AI. And then how they work. They train on a vast dataset to predict the tasks. And then for virtual assistants, models like GPT excel in a conversational task. Example, using GPT for virtual assistant to generate email draft. And then next, the prompt length and complexity. Keep it concise, avoid overwhelming the AI, and then balance short for simple tasks, detail and complex tone. For example, short, translate hello to friends. And then for the long prompt, you can say translate this paragraph to friends, maintaining formal tone and cultural nuance. So make sure that you give the clear and right prompt, because yeah, AI is a system, it's not a human, but make sure that AI also must understand what outcome that we want to build. So make sure that make it clear and not too long. Okay, next, iterative prompting. So the process, start with a basic prompt, refine based on output, and then the benefits, improve result over time. And then, for example, initial, write a poem, and then refine, write a haiku about nature in spring. So this is the illustration of AI generation cycle. Start from prompt, output, refine, and repeat. Okay. Types of prompt, open-end. Definitions, it allows creative, expansive, responsive. And then for the use case is for brainstorming or storytelling. And then, for example, like this. Imagine that you are virtual assistant planning a surprise party. So what step would you take? Okay. Next, the other types of prompts, a close-end. The definition, seek specific factual answer. Use case, query with a clear answer. And the example, list 3 benefits of exercise for a virtual assistant health routine. Okay, next. So this is the types from, for example, instructional. The definition, guide AI to perform tasks step by step. And then the use case, tutorial or how to. And then the example, as a virtual assistant, explain how to reset password in 5 steps. Okay, next. This is for the conversational prompt. For example, the definition, mimic natural dialogue. You can use case a chatbot and also virtual assistant. And then, for example, hi, I'm feeling stressed. What relaxation techniques can you suggest? Okay, next. So this is for the role playing. The definition, assign AI a persona. You can use case like simulating scenario, and then the example, act as a self virtual assistant and suggest a receipt for a chocolate cake. Okay, next. So this is the best practice, clarity and precision. Avoid ambiguity, be explicit, be clear. And then use keywords, for example, include terms like summarize or explain. And then, for example, the bad example is like, tell me about AI. But you can say, summarize the history of AI in 300 words. So it is more detailed and specific. Okay, and then for providing context, the background information, help AI tailor responses. For example, as a virtual assistant for a busy executive, schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 2 p.m. with agenda items. Okay, next. For example, for testing and refining, iterate, try variation and evaluate output. And then for the tools, you can use platform like ChatGPT for testing. And then, for example, test prompt, generate a joke, refine to a general output about AI. And then for handling errors, rephrase if output is off, adjust the prompt. Specify correction, avoid technical jargon. So the example is error. AI give irrelevant information, and then fix, add focus on beginner-friendly advice. Okay, next, ethical consideration. So, for example, bias awareness, ensure prompt don't perpetuate stereotypes, and then for privacy, avoid sharing sensitive data, and then for example, ethical prompt, suggest inclusive team building activity without gender bias. Okay, so this is the common mistake in a prompting. The first one is vagueness, leads to irrelevant output, and then overloading, too many instructions confuse AI. So it is better to give the instruction step by step and then make it short but clear, and then ignoring model limit, exceeding context window. Okay, the next one is avoiding hallucination. The definition, AI generating false information. Prevention, use factual prompt and verify output. For example, the prompt is fact check this statement. AI can predict the future. Okay. And then advanced technique, chain prompting. The definition, linking prompt for a multi-step task. And then, for example, brainstorm idea for a blog post. And then step 2, outline the post based on those ideas. And then advanced technique, views of learning. The definition, provide example in the prompt. And then, for example, translate to Spanish. Hello, goodbye, and now translate. Thank you. Okay, next. Advanced technique, prompt template. The definition, reusable structure. And then, for example, template, role, task, constraint, fill as a virtual assistant, list 5 tips for productivity under 50 words each. And then tools and platform for prompting, ChatGPT or OpenAI for general prompting, and then Hugging Face, open source models, and then custom API, integrate into virtual assistant. And then, for example, you can use ChatGPT or to prototype assistant responses. Okay, for ethics and safety in AI prompting, responsible use, avoid harmful content, compliance, follow law like GDPR for data or HIPAA compliance, the popular one. And then, for example, safe prompts, suggest safe travel tips and avoiding risky advice. Okay, this is the real world example for virtual assistant. For example, for scheduling, you can say book a dentist appointment for the next Tuesday, and then the information, what is the capital of France, and then for creative, generate a story about a robot assistant, and it is really very useful when you want to create caption, social media content. AI is really helpful. And then example output, AI responds with confirmation or details. Okay, for the activity, hands-on prompt crafting, the instruction, this is the task that you can do it later. In pairs, craft a prompt for a virtual assistant to plan a weekend itinerary for family trip to the beach. And then times it 10 minutes, you can discuss what make it effective and the materials, whiteboard or digital. Okay, this is another assignment, build your own prompt. For example, you can create a prompt for a virtual assistant to handle a personal task. For example, organize my email inbox. And then requirement include role, task, constraint, and test it on the AI tools. And then submission, share result in a document or forum. And the deadline, we can discuss it later. Okay, start prompting today. Imagine that having a virtual assistant that doesn't just respond but truly understand your needs. The secret to unlocking the potential lies in effective prompting. Every prompting you craft is like giving your assistant a clear map. It guides the AI to deliver precise, creative, and actionable results. So thank you so much. That's all the material about AI prompting. Thank you for listening.